literally look like Lynette Scavo with this hairstyle right now. Like just 2006 mom. But it's literally 2 o'clock in the morning and I cannot be bothered. Hi guys, it's Michelle, and today's video is going to be quite a heavily requested video. Ever since this documentary came out, I've been receiving a lot of requests to do a Tiger King conspiracy video. I absolutely love this documentary. It was so interesting, and it's so weird because, like, obviously a lot of you guys know I live in Tampa. I'm like, should I be saying that? Because I'm kind of scared of Carole Baskin. Yeah, like, big cat rescue. It's over here, so it's kind of weird. And I just like found it to be so fascinating because I thought it was so gonna be something that I was not into, but it's crazy. And if you haven't watched it, please use this extra time on your hands to watch it because it is absurd. And we're gonna be talking about some fan theories that I've seen, what I think is true. I'm not claiming that any of these things are true because don't sue me. Like, I know Carole Baskin liked to be suing people, so bye. Surrounding the show, there have been so many theories that I've been seeing all over the internet, and we're gonna talk about some of those today. So let's get into it. Let me just look at this. This is Eli Goldsworthy from Degrassi, and my shirt does say Degrassi. And the back of my shirt says Goldsworthy. I need help. Basically, if you've been living under a rock and you don't know anything about Tiger King, it's a documentary series that is basically something that everyone's talking about. It basically follows two kind of like enemies. Well, not even kind of, they're very, very much enemies, though I don't get why, and we'll go into that. Joe Exotic and Carole Baskin, and it follows like the business of having a big cat rescue, aka tigers, and just, you know, for Joe Exotic it was more sense of a zoo, and then for Carole Baskin it's actually a big cat rescue, kind of like a sanctuary to save these tigers. First of all, this video is obviously going to contain spoilers, so definitely go watch it if you haven't already. We're gonna start with Carole Baskin, and then we're gonna move into Joe Exotic, and then we're gonna move into the conspiracies surrounding both of them. What doesn't make sense to me is, like, why are they in such a feud? Like, literally she lives all the way here in Tampa, and then Joe lives in fucking Oklahoma. So first we're going to be talking about Carole Baskin and of course the case of her missing husband, Don Lewis. I love my notes for this. I wrote, first off, Carole Baskin, it's quite evident this girlie killed her husband. I'm not saying that's true. On August 18th, 1997, Carole Baskin's husband, Don Lewis, disappeared seemingly out of thin air from his home in Tampa, Florida. Together, Don Lewis and Carole Baskin owned the Big Cat Rescue. So according to most people that knew Don Lewis, their relationship, Carole's and Don's, was very rocky and, you know, borderline questionable when Don Lewis often claimed to his friends and family that Carole threatened to kill him just several times. So there's that. But, you know, you can say that you just don't believe the family and friends. Who believes that? It's just hearsay. Well, if you want some actual evidence, on June 12th of 1997, 2 months before Don's disappearance, he actually filed an order of protection, and in it he wrote, quote, "This is the second time Carole has gotten angry enough to threaten to kill me." So, I mean, sweetie, the proof is in the pudding right there that this girlie clearly did threaten to kill Don Lewis. Or at least that is the impression that Don Lewis was under, and even was under that impression not just from hearsay, but he actually filed a police report. So I feel like that's pretty interesting evidence. Although Don still continued to live with Carole during this time. The days leading up to his disappearance, Don Lewis actually bought a plane ticket to Costa Rica. He would often travel there on business. He just honestly really loved it in Costa Rica. He wanted to move there eventually. He was also loading an equipment truck that was to be set to bring to Miami, Florida. On August 18th, 1997, Don Lewis left his house at around 6 a.m. to make an early morning delivery, and he was unfortunately never seen again. On August 20th, 1997, Don's 1989 Dodge van was actually found at the Pilot Country Airport in Spring Hill, Florida. Don Lewis actually owned several planes, and he would fly them even though his pilot license was, you know, suspended, so it's very comforting to know. Carole kind of always used this detail about him as kind of a way to spin it that what she thinks happened is that, you know, Don tried to take his own plane to Costa Rica and perhaps crashed somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico. That's the picture that Carole Baskin's trying to paint, which could be potentially why someone who did kill Don Lewis would want his Dodge van to be found in an airport where he could have flown a plane out of. So it didn't really make sense, however, because he bought a plane ticket to Costa Rica. Why would he just decide to take his own plane? Second of all, he wasn't obviously that skilled of a flyer. Thirdly, a bunch of, you know, people who are experts in this realized that it would be pretty impossible for him to take one of his small planes all the way to Costa Rica from Tampa, just, you know, without stopping several times. So it seems unlikely that Don Lewis would do something like this. Really seems super weird to me that his car happens to be there with the keys in it, and just, I don't know, something about it seems really off. Even if you were, like, let's just put into perspective, if you were flying somewhere, why would you even leave your keys in the van? Like, why wouldn't you take your keys with you if, like, you were taking a plane? I feel like that's something you take. You don't just, like, leave your keys in a van, so I don't know. So in 2002, Carole Baskin had her husband, Don Lewis, legally declared as dead, because you have to wait 5 years once someone's gone missing, and then you could steal their money, so fun. And essentially what she did, because Carole was given the majority of his estate, and his children, who are actively in the documentary and actively believe that Carole had something to do with their father's disappearance, didn't get anything. They basically said that they think they maybe got 10% of their own father's complete estate, which is kind of absurd. They had huge legal disputes between them, and it was just really messy. Ultimately, Carole ended up getting most of the estate, which is what majority of people think kind of drove her to potentially commit this kind of crime, or at least to want Don to be gone. Right. So Don's children, friends, family, and a bunch of other fans of the show, Joe Exotic, literally everyone on the Netflix documentary pretty much, besides Carole and her husband obviously, and her daughter, believe that Carole Baskin murdered Don Lewis and fed him to the tigers. This is the most popular conspiracy by far. Some people think that Don Lewis decided to run the fuck away from all this shit and completely change his name, disappear. I don't know if I believe that. I feel like I believe the prior conspiracy theory. I'm in the majority, I guess, but I am not saying that it's true. We're gonna talk about if it were, and what I find to be suspicious about Carole Baskin. The number one thing that I find suspicious about Carole Baskin is just the way that she talks about Don Lewis. To me, rubs me a weird way. It's not the kind of way that you talk about your husband who's been missing for 23 years. Like, that's just not, I don't know. And even, you know, they show the news clips in the beginning from when he first went missing, and I feel like she still wasn't crying or like didn't seem upset, which, you know, people grieve differently obviously, and it's just a stressful situation if it, you know, was true and he just was missing and she didn't have anything to do with it. But either way, I just feel like she was quite cold in a weird way the whole time. As I was watching it, I was just like, what is this girl? Like, I just don't get this woman. I don't understand her, and she was really giving me weird energy, weird vibes, especially when she was speaking about Don. I just feel like I didn't see like her speaking out of love or her heart or like empathy at all. Like, it just felt very much like she was like, well, like, why would I kill my husband? Why did I sound like Pete Davidson? She was like, well, why would I kill my husband? Like, what would I, like, oh yeah, like, I fed him to the tigers. Like, yeah, like, this, like, she kind of like played into the conspiracy that she's so crazy. But like, bitch, is it that crazy? I don't know. Okay, the one thing that I actually think is, a lot of people would see this and be like, but that's evidence that she didn't do anything, is that she was very much, you know, reported it right away. She reported him as missing, and it was very quick, and she was always involved with the investigation. So, but like, any human knows that that makes it look less suspicious. Like, obviously you're gonna look super sus if you like don't report your husband being missing. So like, I don't really think that that's, to me, means anything. I think that there's been so many cases where people have been the murderer, and they have been like one of the biggest people trying to figure out the case and solve the case with the police and, you know, be involved with the investigation. So I don't think that that really means anything to me, but what does mean something to me is that in 2011, Carole Baskin denied a polygraph exam. That's what that is for me. So I just think that's straight up so bait. Why would she do that? Apparently her lawyer like suggested that it wasn't necessary because she wouldn't gain anything from it, but like, if it were me, I was being accused of doing something so terrible to my husband, I would like 100% want to like try to be like taking a polygraph and be like, listen, give me it. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm innocent. Like, I did not do this. I want to figure out what's happened. Like, I would just, I was gonna say, I'd just be way better at this, but like, I feel like that's just really weird and just suspicious in my opinion overall. Another thing that just gives me a strange vibes, I actually just got chills for a sec. The big thing to me that seemed off about Carole Baskin throughout the entire documentary, and this isn't even pertaining to Don Lewis, just in general, is the fact that she has people working at the Big Cat Rescue Sanctuary 12 hours a day. Working Christmas, working Easter, working probably during this pandemic, let's be fucking real, and not getting paid. Me realizing it's 2:30 in the morning, I really just yelled that. But seriously, how could you possibly be that masterful at manipulating people that you can manipulate people, many people, to work for you, to volunteer for you for 12 fucking hours a day without getting paid at all? Oh, we're getting paid because we love the tigers. Like, bitch, how much do you really love tigers? Like, that much? Like, relax. You know what's funny is my sister is actually friends with people who volunteered at Big Cat Rescue. I should talk to them. Should I talk to them? Like, let me know if you want a part 2 of me interviewing people who worked at Big Cat Rescue. I think that's so crazy to me. And like, yes, like you're helping animals and it's great and like amazing and stuff, but like, why is she such a piece of shit that she doesn't pay her fucking employees? Like, she should absolutely pay. Obviously she's profiting, like she's making bank and like taking all the money. I can't. Can I look up her birth chart? I think she's a Gemini. She's a Gemini with a Pisces moon. Oh my gosh, her Mars is in Leo. I'm like, sorry for the rest of you who don't give a shit about astrology, but like if you do, you're like. Another piece of evidence that I actually found extremely interesting that wasn't actually in the documentary is that in between Don Lewis and Carole's current husband, Howard, she actually had a boyfriend, and her boyfriend's name was Jay Bappel. On October 18th of 2002, her little boy toy also filed a restraining order against little Miss Carole Baskin, writing, quote, "I honestly fear I am in danger of death or serious bodily injury. Because her prior husband is missing and presumed dead, one day she said to me when I asked her, 'What happens if your husband shows up?' her response was, 'Dead bodies cannot talk.'" Like, what the fuck? Like, imagine if she actually said that. I don't know if this dude was just trying to get money. I feel like in 2002 though, like no one cared about this. I've never heard about this story and I live here. I don't know. I think that says something that both Don Lewis and then her, you know, boyfriend in between Don Lewis and Howard are like, hey, you know, this girl's kind of scary. We think that she might kill us. I don't like that. So that's my conspiracy on Carole Baskin. I believe what the majority of people believe, but I'm not saying that it's true or false. So, you know, take it as you will, sweetie, and you do you. But let's move on to Joe Exotic. First of all, here's one thing I want to say about Mr. Joe Exotic. Personally, the few things rub me weird about this guy, but we're gonna talk about it, like what I think he's guilty and innocent of in the first place. But one thing I do think that he might have actually done is set his own zoo on fire. Seems like it's what a lot of his friends believed and a lot of the people around him believed. I don't think that I would think that he would kill an alligator like that. Well, 7 of them. Apparently they're Michael Jackson's alligators. I don't know. Why do you have alligators in Nebraska? I don't know. Also, Oklahoma meant that. Either way, I personally think it's interesting, an interesting theory that he just basically, I mean, if you guys don't know, which you do, obviously, if you're watching this, like that he didn't want the show or like the footage that you know, was in that building to be released because he wanted to, you know, have his own kind of take on the show, and like so he could be kind of more in control, that he burnt it down in order to, you know, escape that issue in the first place. And I don't know, like, a part of me kind of believes that he did burn it down. I just don't think it was Carole Baskin. I think she's guilty of a lot of things, but I don't think she gives a shit about burning down his zoo. Like, I don't think she would do that. Clearly she's kind of obsessed with these animals, and I don't know. So I just kind of think he actually did burn down that part of the zoo. But what do you guys think about that? Because it's like one where I don't really have any conspiracy or evidence or thoughts other than like I kind of just feel like he might have done it. Why do you guys think he did it or didn't do it? I would love to hear your opinions on that, but let's continue talking about more things about Joe Exotic. Oh, first, I want to quickly touch on a conspiracy theory that I've seen all over Twitter, Reddit, like everything. It's actually one I don't really believe, but we'll talk about why. A Twitter account at the @MarieTweety, they saw a Facebook post talking about the theory that Jeff Lowe is actually Carole Baskin's first husband. So Jeff Lowe is the person who basically took over Joe Exotic Zoo. Obviously you guys know though, but gross ass fucker, but we're gonna talk about that in a second. I will agree that they do look extremely similar, but I can't really find that I believe this theory because I feel like it'd be way too trackable, especially with the popularity of the show. Like, obviously someone would know something. It just seems highly, highly unlikely that that would be ever be able to be possible. We're going to talk about more theories revolving around Jeff Lowe, Joe Exotic, and Carole Baskin. Joe Exotic was arrested in September of 2018 for paying a hitman $3,000 to kill Carole Baskin. In April of 2019, he was found guilty and sentenced to 22 years in federal prison. And most people who watch the documentary actually believe that Joe Exotic was set up and that he basically had no part in this whatsoever. I agree with that. But even if not, even if he was, you know, planning on having her be killed, he's obviously like one of the first people that the police would look at. Like, he has multiple videos talking about how he hates Carole Baskin. Basically, even, you know, in some videos saying things, not threatening to kill her, but like saying that he wants her dead. So why would you be that dumb? Like, I feel like, I just don't think Joe Exotic's that stupid. Like, he wouldn't go and spend years of his life targeting this woman and constantly harassing her basically and saying that he, you know, she sucks and he hates her guts and all this stuff just to hire someone for $3,000, which is a whole nother thing, to kill her and pretend it's like not obviously like done by him. I don't know. Like, in my opinion, I feel like any police department, like any, like obviously if something had happened to Carole Baskin, her husband probably would have been like, literally look at Joe Exotic first. Personally, I just think any human with like a somewhat normal brain that doesn't want to go to jail probably wouldn't have done that. But like, that's just my opinion. Because even if the plan had followed through, like I said, Joe Exotic would be probably someone that they would look at first. I 100% believe that this is a huge setup by none other than the disgusting Jeff Lowe. So Jeff Lowe, essentially some business deal kind of happened where he was just gonna sign for the GW Zoo and be the owner just to get Joe out of some issues, but then, you know, ended up taking over the GW Zoo. So it's very clear that he has a motive. He wants the zoo, he wants the zoo to be his, and he wanted Joe Exotic out of the fucking picture. It's very simple. Me trying not to get sued, but also writing, there's actually no doubt in my mind that Jeff Lowe orchestrated this whole thing. Jeff Lowe has given me weird ass vibes from the jump. I don't know what it is. He just looks weird and scares me a lot. His energy is just so far off when he was talking about the nannies for his like child. He was like hiring like a hot nanny and like it was literally like a fucking 19-year-old, and I'm like, dude, you're so old, you're so creepy. Like, his energy, creep vibes, like 100% not it. Like, fuck Jeff Lowe. Like, I don't know. No doubt in my mind this dude is a scumbag, and I think he's perfectly capable of setting up Joe Exotic to make it look like Joe Exotic tried to hire someone to kill Carole Baskin, sending him to jail for 22 years. No doubt in my mind that he could have done that. Something me and a few other people I've seen around on Twitter and stuff, and my own family, we all think that Jeff Lowe and Carole Baskin actually worked together to frame Joe Exotic. Obviously, Carole Baskin has a motive. She's been trying to sue Joe, send him his ass to jail for years, and obviously we already talked about Jeff Lowe's motives. So why not, you know, come together and realize, hey, we can end this feud just like between, you know, GW Zoo and Big Cat Rescue, but we clearly both have a middleman that we don't fuck with, and it's Joe Exotic. Let's get rid of him. A lot of people think that Jeff Lowe and Carole Baskin came together, used Carole's money, and started to plan Carole's own, you know, attempt of murder, which is kind of crazy, but it's something that just is so damn interesting, and I really hope that we find out the truth of it one day, because like, bitch, like I just like really believe it. Like it makes so much sense. Like, why wouldn't they come together and get Joe Exotic out of there? Why wouldn't they? I don't get it. Like, it makes so much sense. And it's so believable, because clearly Joe has talked about hating Carole Baskin for years. It's like the perfect plan. It's almost too perfect, which is why I think it's a whole setup. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear what you guys think about these Tiger King fan theories. I love this stuff. If you guys have any other documentaries you want me to watch and do theories on, let me know in the comments below. But that is it. If you guys like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about these conspiracy theories. I would love to hear your opinions. I want to know what who you think is innocent, who you think is guilty. Let me know. But that is it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram, because I'm always posting really dope ass shit on there. Subscribe for new videos every week, and I will see you guys later. Bye.